Hi, this is Derek LeBlanc with the Kids Safe Foundation. You can find out all the work that we're doing on our website, kidssafefoundation.org, and this is Meet the Pressers.
Meet the Pressers with Matt Mallory and Klint Necro. Brought to you by Public Safety and Education and the Trigger Pressers Union.
Meet the Pressers is brought to you by Mantis. Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Next Level Training, makers of CERT training products. Henry Repeating Arms, made in America or not made at all. XS Sights, fast sights in any light. Meet the Pressers is also brought to you by these fine companies, shows, organizations, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Hello everybody, this is Klint Macro and Matthew Mallory with Meet the Pressers. Meet the Pressers is a safe place for trigger pressers to congregate and talk about guns, gear, gadgets, political activism, religion, what have you. Everything. And Matthew is going to introduce our veteran special guest.
Numerous times, Derek LeBlanc's been on with us and talking about kids and teaching kids guns and all the fun stuff and stuff that Klint and I do, but he's doing it on a whole new level.
Whole new level.
How you been, my friend?
I've been good. Thanks for having me. It's great seeing you guys. Appreciate being here. And so I'm Derek LeBlanc, president of the Kids Safe Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit based in Oregon. We teach firearm safety and accident prevention to kids. And we've been a nonprofit since 2016. We just went over 30,000 kids reached in 9 states. Wow. And taught them life-saving skills and life skills as well, because we get them on the range as well and teach them, gun safety and get them exposed in a positive way. And so we're here and great to have the opportunity to speak to your guests about the importance of gun safety and how we can normalize this conversation for our kids and our families.
30,000. I mean, just the logistics of that, the sheer numbers. How many people are on your team, and have you been involved in each one of those interactions?
Every one of them's come through my hand in some way. It could have been given a band. It could have been given a temporary tattoo. It could have been teaching them to shoot in a BB gun range. We have these Daisy outdoor inflatable BB gun ranges, and we've reached over 22,000 kids through those ranges. And basically, it's a big bounce house that we blow up, and it's got 2 slits where the kids can put their muzzle through the slits and they can shoot targets. And there, in those 22,000 kids, they're getting a 4 basic safety rules, safety brief before we step in. They're putting safety glasses on, and they're getting to get, a lot of them are experiencing their first shots, and that's awesome. And that way we can start them on this path to responsible gun ownership and start them as young as 3 years old with those.
Yeah, BB guns are a great way to start that. I mean, we talk about as instructors being able to do something like a CERT laser gun. Thank you, CERT, sponsors by the way. Moving up through BB guns, or moving up to a 22 and then a bigger caliber. So that's pretty neat. I think BB guns aren't used as much as they used to be back.
That was my first gun.
Mine too.
I got one at 3. I got one at 3 years old, and literally changed my life. Yeah. And I shot the first barrel out at 6 years old, so I had to upgrade to a 10 pump, because that's all I would do when I was a kid, because I live rurally in Oregon, and so I just go out and shoot, and never shot my eye out, which is great.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's what we're advocating: don't shoot your eye out. But obviously, it's a great learning tool. And I actually toured the Daisy facility this year. I went to the Daisy Red Ryder Museum, their air gun museum, and they've sold over 1 billion of those air rifles since 1896.
Where's that located?
That's in Rogers, Arkansas. And if you guys are in the area, I highly recommend check it out, because if we're talking about our two-way rights, I mean, you think of the sheer impact of what Daisy has done, having those be the first shots, and getting that. And now starting them on their path, and then they can get a rimfire, and then they're getting the handguns, and now they're voting, and then so it's everything I'm looking at from a lens is from safety, advocacy, but also this is a generational thing for us. And as we're getting older, we have to prepare the next round of citizenry for the responsibility of preserving our civil liberties.
Yeah, amen. Absolutely. Yeah. That's great. So. And now you are you doing the camps all over the country? Is predominantly in Oregon?
Yeah. So we're branching out. We're going to Midwest. This will be our second time to the Midwest, where we did 4-state tour, which is Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri. We're going to be in Texas by May. received a grant to go there to teach those kids, gun safety and be a part of the conversation. And that's the thing is everybody, it's a kind of a taboo situation, right? They want to take away our ability to educate our kids, but we can prove through the sheer volume of kids that we reach that we've had 30,000 kids reach through the program with 0 accidents. Okay. And so that says something, and I'm kind of here to use your microphone to kind of demand that kind of attention, because everybody wants to demand something, and I was like, we don't want to demand, but we want to present viable solutions, and we want the opportunity to be able to make sure our kids are protected the way we see fit.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've done a lot with youth in high school shooting sports and things like that, and people are like, oh, I don't want a gun, like. Trap teams, 3-position small bore, whatever, like 0 accidents.
Absolutely.
And more kids get concussions and jacked up from football and sports. And it's like, okay, that, and I'm not saying anything against sports, because it's physical, like people, are going to potentially get hurt doing that, but they'll be like, oh, we can't have this, but we can have this. They don't want to spend money to harden the doors, but they'll, and protect the children, but they'll spend $2 million on a new football stadium and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. So people are definitely misguided.
The priorities, we got to, and that's where we have to change the angle of the lens, right? And show that, what you brought up with the clay and the shooting sports there, that's actually, the data supports that's really the safest activity for our children, because there's virtually 0 accidents there because of the way everything's regimented.
Yeah.
And so, our analogy is the hot burner, right? You tell your kid not to touch the hot burner, first thing they do is do that, right? And that's how our kids learn, is through that trial and error. The problem is with the burner.
My dad said the boy needs to learn disappointment.
Absolutely.
So he let me touch the burner.
Yeah, but the thing is with the gun, though, it could be fatal or life altering.
Yeah.
So that's where we're saying, okay. But I look to the parents as well, because this is a family thing, and the goal is making sure the parents know when the gun comes off us, it goes into a secure location. We like the Voltex; they're one of our title sponsors. We love the technology, and it's intuitive. But also educating those kids as well that this is not a toy. This is not something we play with. And I think video games and Nerf airsoft kind of sets a bad example for young kids, because we're just pointing at 4 years old. We're pointing Nerf guns at each other, which I think age appropriateness is really important. So if we have rules, we have a set boundary, then that's totally acceptable. But with young kids, they don't know what's real, what's not real, and so we're pointing like 4 years old. And I guess one of my beef with the Nerf guns is they always, every year, faster rate of fire, longer effective range, yet when a tragedy happens, like around the country, they're quick to blame the gun instead of the 18 steps that led up to that tragedy. And there's always a sign. There's always a sign, and we have to educate our kids to look out for those signs, because they're going to be first responders. We talk about that in our class as well, is they're going to hear something on the playground, could be on the bus, it could be in the hallway. There's going to be a threat of violence. We have to take them seriously, and we have to get the proper people involved. We stopped a school shooting in Oregon, literally 8 minutes from my home, because of a kid that had been through our program. And it's easy to do. We just have to start talking about it.
That's the knowledge. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Super. So how do people check out what you're doing and get involved and donate and send people your way?
So you find everything on our social medias. We're on Facebook. We're about 11,000 followers there. YouTube, we have 250,000 subscribers there, and on our website as well, kidssafefoundation.org. There's 2 S's there. You can donate. You can get involved. You can if you're in the industry and you're looking for a cause, this is a cause you can get behind, because it's something that's pure. It's something that's going to benefit the gun community in the long run. And I'm looking generational, as we all should.
It's going to benefit our country.
Absolutely.
And it already is.
Absolutely.
That's it. Cool. Well, check them out and help them out.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Matt Mallory here with Meet the Pressers. Got my awesome co-host over here, Klint Macro, and we're going to bring a special guest. Clint's going to introduce him in a second, but just to remind you that Meet the Pressers is about a safe place for people to press triggers and talk about faith, political activism, guns, gear, gadgets, all that kind of fun stuff. So without further ado, Klint, take it away.
Yeah, tonight I am honored to introduce our special guest. Our special guest is Tim Kelly. He is the owner and head honcho with Apache Solutions, a training company out of North Carolina. And not only is he a very prolific and skilled instructor, he's also the author of this new book, dun, dun, dun. Your World is Not a Gun-Free Zone. So Tim, welcome to the show, man. It's great to see you.
Thanks, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think what was the
Awesome.
first time we cohabitated a piece of dirt? Was it the Dave Spalding class?
It was, man. That
Wow.
was 2019, I want to say.
Yeah,
That
yeah, it
was a
was
lot.
it was definitely pre-COVID. I had the honor to host Dave at the well, it's not my range, but it's the range that I used. It's very, very near my house, and Tim was one of the guys that signed up for the class. I think didn't you win a challenge coin or a belt buckle in that class?
Oh no, man. No,
That
there's
wasn't you?
not at that time. It
Oh,
was
okay.
2000. It's actually, now that I think about it, I think it was 2018 because I hadn't started Apache, but maybe a year prior to that.
Okay.
So I was still very fresh.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was a good time. I always look back at that, and I have no problem saying this. Dave was a bit curmudgeonly and a bit crusty, which is kind of his MO. But there's still things that I certainly will quote from that class. He was a wealth of knowledge, and there were some things in there that I really will stick with me forever as an educator.
Absolutely.
So
Same.
so tell us a little bit about your background and how Apache came about.
Man, so I started Apache back in 2017 with the intention of creating a stronger and more competent armed society. Before that, I spent about 8 years in the United States Marine Corps Infantry. I wanted to do that ever since I was a little rug rat, got to live my dream, and God had other plans for me. So I got out in 2013. I ended up in college where I earned my degree in mechanical engineering. I set out on a new journey to learn how to design and manufacture firearms and firearms components. So I did that on a small scale for a little while, and I guess really it just kind of fell away from me. It wasn't for me. I wasn't getting the purpose that I wanted to receive out of it. So I got out of that and uncovered a pretty significant need for firearms training in my community. So I thought I had this epiphany that I was going to change things here. And then I met the training community and realized that other people had had the same epiphany. And yeah, I just fell in love with the community, and I've been learning and growing as a student ever since. And yeah, so Apache is a lot different than your typical gun range or your typical gun shop. We're structured a lot more like a gym with a personal trainer. So that's kind of our bread and butter. Folks will sign up for a 1 hour or a 2 hour block of instruction. Excuse me, we'll meet them where they are, help them establish goals, and then help them meet their goals along the way. And we have folks come out weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, and we're open up 7 days a week. So we try to work around their be flexible with their schedules.
That's very
So,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
So you had
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
you had mentioned Dave Spalding, and I know Clint and I try to take classes with other instructors and glean knowledge from them in that way. Do you have a personal goal of how much training you want to do on an annual basis with other instructors, or even just training on the range, going out yourself and actually getting some trigger time?
Yes. I wish I could say that I had it set in stone how many hours I want to train every year. And I think I used to really, but I just started college. Well, I should say I just started college. I'm like 5 weeks away from graduating with my bachelor's, and that has really kind of put a hold on a lot of my training opportunities, at least in the gun realm. So I'm learning more about entrepreneur stuff and that sort of thing. So once I finish this degree, I figure I might as well just continue going on. I'll have another 18 months of school to finish a master's degree in education. So that's what I'll be pursuing next. So I'll say for the next couple of years, I'm still going to be held back to about one or two courses, big courses a year in terms of me taking instruction from other people. But I can't let myself, not take any classes at all throughout the year. I've got to at least get in one or two.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
still a
mean,
good.
even with that,
Yeah,
that's still a lot more than a lot of our colleagues actually get an opportunity to do.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Those that are really busy, they're just, especially those that are really busy, and this is what they do for a living to feed their child
Yeah.
and their family. Like, hey, if there's a weekend and I got a class and it's booked, I'm going to teach because I want to, like, I like money, or
Yeah, for sure.
I like to keep my house warm. You know what
Pay
I
the
mean?
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's important to be disciplined to at least put aside some time. And one of the beauties we have now is with all the technology that's available that wasn't even there like even 10 years ago, we can still do limited training even off of the dirt and off of the range. And it's kind of funny when, it's like the carpenter has the worst shaped house in the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like as an instructor myself, it's like I'm not training nearly as much as I would if I were coaching myself and introducing myself to other opportunities to keep on track. So
For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
I'm glad that you're cognizant of that and really trying to get at least a couple classes in a year. That's good.
I'm blessed. I really am. We've built something really, really cool here. And my fellow instructors are out here teaching classes when I otherwise would be, they're filling in and doing that. And, they fill in and take care of the private sessions throughout the week. So I'm just steering the ship, man. I'm guiding the business in the direction that we really want to take it. And I'm taking time to get schooling in, and what free time I have left, man, I'm spending with my family.
There you go.
So.
God bless that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for sure. So just real quick before we start talking about the book specifically, where did Apache come from? What's the name? What's the genesis of the name?
I don't know if you do like in the description of your videos or anything like that, but I actually have an article on that. It's up on our website. It's called Why the Name Apache. And the reason why I named it Apache is after my squad that I had with me in Afghanistan. It was our call sign, Apache 4.
Mm.
And there's something really, really special about those guys, and they've always been really important to me. So I said, no matter what, if I'm going to create a business of my own, that's who I want to name them after. Now, regardless of what a lot of people have said, like, don't name it Apache. Why would you do that? Like, nobody's going to know what you do. Yeah, and that's okay. That's all right. I'll let it be known.
Yeah, well,
It's just add another challenge. That's all.
it's better than what my platoon was in the Army back in the 90s.
Yeah.
The Assassins.
Oh man.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine
I don't
that. I'm
know
going to
if
call
that's-
that a company name, the Assassins.
yeah, especially defensive. Yeah,
Yes.
everything we say in class must be defensible in court. Who are you trained by? The
The
Assassins.
Assassins. That wouldn't have been great.
Yeah, it's not
well,
so
I tell
PC
you,
these days.
yeah, that would have worked probably 10 years ago, though. I mean,
Yeah,
everything
maybe.
was combat this,
That's true.
combat shooting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, words change over the years, I guess, or at least the meaning of them, I suppose.
For sure. For
Sure.
sure.
So what started this? What made this come about? What made you say, you know what? I'm going to put pen to paper and write myself a book.
So I used to write a lot. I kept journals on all my deployments. I all the writing that I did do is for myself. I enjoy it. And on my last deployment to Afghanistan, that's when I put down the pen and I just stopped for quite a few years. And I had Tom Givens asked me if I would submit an article for the Range Master newsletter.
Nice.
And I went through this sob story of like, Tom, I don't know, man. Like, I've never put anything out there for people to read or anything like that. And I'm just not so sure about the idea of putting it out there. He's like, just shut up and send me an article.
That's
That
Tom.
sounds like him. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I sent him an article and he's like, Tim, this is really good. Keep writing. And so I kept writing. And it just kind of took off, and eventually just kind of became more therapeutic like it used to be for me. So I kept writing and writing and writing. And I was writing a lot about gun stuff. I wrote a lot about what we do here, wrote a lot of curriculum. And on the side, I was writing stories about, what I'm learning as a father around guns, because we have a very unique parenthood. Our range is directly across from my house.
Nice.
So there's no hiding guns from my kids. Like, it's just not,
Right.
it's not going to happen. So we've had to get really creative with how we introduce firearms to the kids. And we've learned a lot of really, really interesting things along the way. And it's stuff that I noticed that just is kind of left out of this educational gap within our community right now. And I wanted to share it. So I kept writing, and 1,000 words here, 500 words there. Next thing you know, I've got 12 or 14 articles that I've written up. And I asked Tom, I'm like, hey, I'm really not sure about
releasing this to the public yet, but would you take a look at these?
Wow.
And he was like, yeah. And he said, you should turn this into a book. And I'm like, man, I hadn't even considered this. Like, should I really? He's like, yeah. So this has gone over the course of 2 or 3 years. He's like, yeah, you should definitely turn this into a book. So I spent the entire part of last year in between classes and teaching and steering the ship, um, trying to organize what I had and turn it into a book. So I got an editor, Christian Skinner, and he's just awesome dude all around. Christian's also involved in the training community, and so he and I spoke the same language. And because he was a professional in editing, he was able to kind of help me communicate what I want to other parents. And so it worked. It worked out really well. So we ended up releasing it. Well, it was supposed to be the day after my daughter's birthday this year,
Aw.
and it turned into that evening. And anyway, that's a whole nother story.
How
So
old?
yeah. So I have a son who's 5 and a daughter who's 8.
Oh, wow. Our youngest is 9. So,
Yeah.
I gotta ask though, when did you make the transition from using crayons to pen?
No, the entire rough draft was crayon, but I only got about 200 words in before I, ran out of crayons because I was eating on
Eating.
the side, just
I love
snacking
that.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people know the joke, but it's a Marine thing.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
do those jokes. It's
Yeah.
like I'm not allowed to.
You just-
That would be some kind of like what do they call it when
Blasphemy.
people? What do they call it when people like pretend to be military and they're not?
Yeah.
It would be
Stolen
stolen
valor.
valor.
Stolen valor.
If I made
Yeah,
jokes about
reference.
Marines, unless I had a Marine in my family, and I suppose then I could do that.
You can still
Yeah,
do it. You
something
can
like
still
that.
do it. But
Yeah,
it's
I
better.
don't-
It's better
I
when
don't feel
somebody in
right
the
about it.
army does it against somebody in the Marines. That's
Yeah.
usually better when it's that way.
Now, if you play bass or guitar, I can rip you up, man. But
Yeah, see, I don't do that.
no.
No, man. I play the drums.
Yeah,
Oh,
the,
do
only-
you? All right.
Yeah,
Well, hey,
yeah.
I'm a bachelor
Now-
from way back.
the
No,
drum
no.
I play.
Make sure we know this. I'm not any good, but I do play the drums.
It's like
That's good.
I golf, but I yell for too much.
Yeah, that's good. See, drummers that are instructors can go like, no, you hesitated before shot 3 and 4. I could hear it. It wasn't like bat, 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 bat. It was bat, 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 bat. And they're like, how'd you hear that? Hey, I'm good like that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I'm
valid.
a metronome. Yeah.
That's valid.
Yeah.
That's
So
valid.
this book, with full integrity, I've not read the whole thing. I bought it off Amazon, which is where everyone should go to find this
Mhm.
book. And I have a book that I had to read for like a work related thing, and then I'm in the middle of a Tony Blauer book and also Alex Van Halen's book about the brothers Van Halen. And so I started reading this. I just can't sit down and read a book all the way through. I just for some reason can't do that. But so far, man, it's really, really high quality stuff. And a lot of times people will come to me and say, well, how do I breach this topic with kids or grandchildren or whatever? And so I've shared Rob's Pincus's book, Yehuda's book, Sheepdogs by Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman is another great one that explains like that righteous purpose of the first, the family first responder. Beth Alcazar's children's curriculum from USCCA is really fantastic. And
Mhm.
I have to say, I have one article I wrote on Personal Defense Network about what I've done with my son that has just kind of worked out okay. Not the way, but a way. But
Mhm.
I will most certainly add this to the pile,
Nice.
so long as the end delivers like the beginning did, and I'm sure it will.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean,
Very cool.
I'm most certainly not trying to provide AOA, and I'm definitely not done writing. Like there'll definitely be more either versions added to it, or might make it into a series. I don't know, but I'm gonna keep writing because, man, as parents, like you learn something new every day, and that was probably the hardest part.
Mhm.
That was the hardest part about writing this book, and I had, several of my mentors and colleagues and friends that were helping me throughout this process. And were like, man, just send it, just send it. And I'm like, but I just learned something yesterday, man. Like, and I really want to put that in there. But no, man, it's most certainly not, it's not the way. I just feel like we really need something between stop, don't touch,
Yes.
and hey, you're 18 now, go carry a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's the part of the link that's really missing right now. And especially in our community and rural communities, because you get so many people that grew up around guns, but there's no real metric for success, you know? And I'm hoping that this will shed some light on that for parents.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say, I think that, the whole NRA stop, don't touch, tell, leave the area, tell a responsible adult is a great thing. But even when I used to teach that back in the day, it was always I added to it, and also in this case, teach a kid how to use a gun.
Well,
Teach them
see,
at their age level.
that's the thing, though. That's kind of, and I don't think this is the NRA's fault, but a lot of anti-gun organizations have kind of hijacked Eddie Eagle and made that the thing that they put forth. And it's stop, don't touch, tell an adult,
Responsible adult.
don't ever touch, and that's where it ends.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
also kind of reinforces, ooh, guns are dangerous. And that's not what the Eddie Eagle program is supposed to be.
Right.
It's
Right.
like the kid now sees an interest. Now it's time to properly educate that child.
Well,
And,
and, you know, one of the other things is that's where we stop. That's where we stop. We tell our kids about guns at a young age, and maybe they're introduced to hunting or something like that if they're lucky, and they get to carry on that tradition as they grow up, and they'll have a pretty solid foundation. Or down here they have shooting teams, and that's excellent, man. I've worked with some of those kids, and they got a fantastic foundation in terms of safety. They're really set up for success. But if the kids that don't have that, that's where they stop. They stop at my kids know better. They know not to touch the guns. When? But when do you flip that switch?
sure.
When do you say, hey man, it's okay. You can pick up the gun now. Like at what point do you do that? Do you wait until they turn 18 and they're on their own to say, man, you're a grown adult now. Make your own choices.
Right.
Man,
Yeah.
that's not guidance.
It's like just letting the kid learn about sex by the other kids on the school bus.
Exactly.
I was going to say something
Yeah.
similar, but not sex. I was going to say cooking. Like, remember when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Don't put your hand on the stove. It's hot. Don't do that. And if you did it, you learn that way. But that's like just telling them don't touch the stove. And that's it. You leave it at that. But no, what do? Teach them how to cook. Teach them
Well,
what the
I mean,
stove's for. It's a tool. Teach them how to use it. What the right reason is, it's hot. Why is it hot? This is why.
we put the plastic protectors in the outlets when they're a toddler.
Really young. Exactly.
But we don't leave them there forever, and eventually we teach them how to plug in their charger or their whatever
Yep.
that they need to plug in. It's like
Yep.
we're not going to just say, "Ooh, stay away from the outlets until you're
Right.
18." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I say that for my daughter. Stay away from the boys. Boys are yucky. No boys.
The safety skills, and that's what they are. They're skills. They're not.
Mhm.
They're not some mantra. You know, they're most certainly skills. Or some that you have to anchor to. Here's a word for you from Spalding. They have to anchor to a level of automaticity, and throughout their learning process, as they grow and develop more skills and make the process more complicated, those skills have to evolve over time. And so I talk about that a lot in my book too, is age appropriate communication. Like this is how I talk to my 3-year-old about guns. And these are my expectations of my 3-year-old. But when my 3-year-old turned 8, this is now how I talk to my kid about guns. And this is the things that they've learned along the way. And like I said, I think that's the biggest thing that's left out is we have that one-time conversation with them, and that's it.
Mhm.
That's it, man. So we got to do better.
Absolutely. It
Very
used to be in
cool.
schools. It used to be taught in schools. I think it should
Yeah.
go back to that. Especially if we get rid of the
Yeah.
Department of Education, I think it's going to go back to the states, and I think we'll start seeing more states do that.
We'll see. We'll see. But I think that's a great idea. I mean, I'm fortunate to say where I grew up, it was, we shot BB guns in gym class.
Mhm.
The school my son goes to now, although he's not part of that team, they have a rifle team and a JROTC, and they've got an air rifle team and
Nice.
a small bore 22 rifle team too.
Very cool.
So
Yeah,
it still exists. And the shotgun programs, you talk to the guys, the coaching staff down at NRA headquarters, and like the shotgun shooting sports is like amazingly popular right now. So
That's awesome.
so hopefully we're seeing a turn. I think actually the younger generations, the millennials, as they become parents, they are much, much more open to liberty than we give them credit for.
For
So
sure.
I think maybe we're seeing some turns. But this book is going to help a parent
I
somewhere.
hope so.
And thank you for writing it, man. We greatly appreciate it when folks in our industry kind of step up and expand their reach and their mentorship.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for the shout out and spreading the word. I appreciate that.
I look forward to getting it off Amazon and reading it. So
Well,
Awesome.
cool. So why don't you tell people like how to get in touch with you and maybe any events you got coming up in the near future?
Sure. Yeah, man, I should have had my calendar in front of me or something. We've got all kinds of different stuff coming up, but you can go to our website, ApacheNC.com. That's Apache North Carolina NC.com. And you can check out all of the events that we have coming up there. You can go to Amazon to buy my book. That's Your World is Not a Gun-Free Zone. And if you want to just send an email to me directly, you can just send it to Tim at ApacheNC.com. So fairly simple. You can find us on all of the social media, so FaceSpace and InstaFace, Instagram. Find us. Just throw the tagline Apache NC in there. You're going to find us.
I
Yeah,
see that you taught at the Girl in a Gun conference.
Yes. Yeah. We've taught there the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay. I taught there last year, and Robin asked me to teach again this year, but I'm actually going to be in Cancun that week, so I can't.
So
can't make
Matt's the guy that left a range a mess when you got onto the range.
it. No, I was
He's
up on the
gotta
top of the mountain.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, I had one there last year too with the great big the
That
rain,
fire.
the downpour.
Oh, you know that fire pit in the middle of that, way up on the top of the hill there?
Oh yeah, I was there.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. It was like a tank track that they had
Yeah.
like laying around in a circle. It was pretty cool.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's a beautiful place to
It
train,
is.
man. Oh my
It
gosh,
is.
it's out of this world. It's
You're gonna
very
be at
distracting.
you're gonna be at NRA annual meeting this year?
No, sir. No, sir.
Bummer.
Yeah. I'm trying to make time and make more room for some of the more national meetings and stuff like that and get more involved with it. But right now, man, we just with family stuff that we've had going
Wow.
on and the book and school and everything, it's a lot. It's
Well,
enough to keep up with all the local events, you know?
yeah.
For sure.
Take care of your degree and spend as much time with your family, and everything else will still be there when you're done.
That's
I
right.
guarantee you. Yep.
That's right.
Very true. Very true. Well, it's
All
awesome
right.
having you on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Stay safe.
Hello, my name is Klint Macro, co-founder and administrator of National Train a Teacher Day. National Train a Teacher Day is a grassroots movement of volunteer firearms, safety, first aid, and defense instructors that offer free training to teachers, school staff, administrators, and those that work with youth in a leadership capacity. We do this every year on National Train a Teacher Day. This year marks the 8th annual National Train a Teacher Day, and we'll be observing it on Saturday, June 21st, 2025. That's Saturday, June 21st, 2025. Over the years, hundreds of volunteer instructors have trained thousands of teachers, school staff, administrator, and those that work with youth in a leadership capacity. If you fit that bill, or if you know someone that does, we encourage you to visit or have them visit the website, which is nationaltrainateacherday.com, and connect with a local instructor and take advantage of this fantastic free training opportunity. We'd like to thank our volunteers, our partners, and our sponsors for helping make National Train a Teacher Day a success each year. But most of all, we want to thank you, the teachers, school staff, administrators, and youth leaders who take the time to empower themselves with information to better protect those that they educate, and that is our children. Visit the website, spread the word, and we will see you on National Train a Teacher Day, Saturday, June 21st, 2025. Thanks.
There's lots of sponsors that make this show possible, like Mantis, Next Level Training, Blake Henry,
XS Sites.
Check them out and give them your business.
Meet the Pressers is brought to you by Mantis. Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Next Level Training. Makers of CERT training products. Henry Repeating Arms. made in America or not made at all. XS Sights, fast sights in any light. Meet the Pressers is also brought to you by these fine companies, shows, organizations, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the show.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and click that little bell thingy so you know when the next episode's coming out. Support us on Patreon. Come to one of our classes. Host us to come to you and do one of our classes at your location.
And until next time,
Adieu.
Thank you for watching Meet the Pressers.